Hi there everyone, and today I would like to show you another very interactive chess game of Bobby Fischer from the United States Chess Championship from 1963. Fischer won this US Chess Championship with winning all 11 games that he played. He was in 11 game winning streak, which was incredible, of course, at top level chess competition at the highest level. We have never seen something like that before or since. Actually, Fischer was simply steamrolling his opponents very easily. So in this chess game, his opponent was the Hungarian-American chess grandmaster Paul Benko, who had the black pieces. So he was one of the greats, of course, in that era. And the story of this game is also interesting. Well, you know that Bobby Fischer won this championship with winning all the games that he played. So he won this chess game as well. And Paul Benko stated that he had a party with a woman at the night before this chess game. You know what I mean. So he was, he partied very hard night before of this chess game with a woman. You know what I mean. I'm just messing with you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, he was having an affair, I think, something like that. And well, of course, Paul Benko is a great chess player, one of the greats in that era. He unfortunately has passed away in 2019. He was 91 years old. A very strong chess player. An important chess player, most definitely, and he also had a tough life. You should read his biography if you are interested. So this video is not about Paul Benko, but in my opinion, his statement was a ridiculous excuse. With all due respect, in my opinion, that's a ridiculous excuse. I mean, had he defeated Bobby Fischer in this chess game, would he say the same thing? I think he would not. He would not. We all know the truth. We all know the answer. He would not. Okay, anyway, but that's very funny in my opinion. But also, in my opinion, if he lived a very healthy lifestyle before this game, if he, take his proteins, vegetables, drink some protein supplements and take his amino acids and sleep like a very good night, sleep 8 hours, 10 hours, take a good night's sleep, he would still lose to Bobby Fischer, in my opinion. I mean, that would not change the results, because Bobby Fischer basically, at this time, he was unbelievable. He was like invincible. You have to understand that. Yeah, even if he would get a good night's sleep before this game, like 8-10 hours, it doesn't matter, he would still lose to Fischer. We all know the answer. But that was his excuse. He said that because of not sleeping well and because of partying very hard with that woman, he lost. It sounds like a ridiculous excuse. Okay, so let's begin. E4 by Fischer, and we have the modern defense. So we are going to the Pirc Austrian attack, knight to f3, and then castling, bishop to d3, bishop to g4, h3, and then capturing, exchanging the pieces, attacking the d pawn, and developing the knight. Bishop to e3, and then e5. Well, Fischer played d takes on e5, d takes on e5. And then Bobby Fischer pushed the pawn. Now, this is actually the critical moment of this chess game. And already it doesn't look very good for black. I mean, this is not like losing or something, but in this position, Benko made a committal decision and he decided to capture the pawn, and this opened the g file, which looks very dangerous. So it opened the king, and it could be risky, especially against Bobby Fischer, of course. But why did Paul Benko did that? I mean, let's take it back. So in here, as you can see, white can also push the pawn. So g4, h4 and castling from the queen side, pawn storm in the king side. It looks very dangerous for black. So maybe this is why Benko decided to capture the pawn, and maybe he pressed the panic button, and then Bobby Fischer simply captured the pawn with the queen. Queen takes on f5, and this opened the g file. So knight to d4, and then defending the queen. Knight goes back, so maybe black wants to push the pawn, so clearing the path, and Bobby Fischer castled from the king side, and it is not that easy to push the pawn now. So knight to d6, and now Bobby Fischer made a decision. He wanted his queen on h5, and it is going to be a very nice spot for the queen, so this is what he did. Queen to g3, and the bishop is pinned. First of all, bishop to h6 is looking very annoying, and then knight can get in, so we have king to h8, unpinning the bishop, and rook to g8 is also possible, but then Fischer played queen to g4, c6, and queen to h5. Mission accomplished. So this is what Bobby Fischer wanted to do, and it is not so easy to push the pawn because we can simply capture the pawn. So Benko played queen to e8, and then Fischer captured the knight. Black has to take back, and then we have, well, how should white play? Actually, if you haven't seen this chess game before, you might have seen this chess game because this is actually a pretty famous chess game. This is one of the 60 memorable chess games of Bobby Fischer, and Bobby Fischer included this chess game in his book, My 60 Memorable Chess Games. So it's a famous game, and can you guess the next move? I'm going to show you which move doesn't work, first of all. If pushing the e-pawn, which didn't happen in the game, of course, don't get me wrong, so black can actually push the pawn f5, and black is defending everything, and this is also a discovery attack to the queen, so there is no time for capturing the knight. White is not even winning. Black is maybe even slightly better in this position. So instead of pushing the e-pawn, Fischer played rook to f6. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Did you see the move? Oh my goodness gracious. Now black can't push the pawn now. Bobby Fischer is fixing that pawn, and he is threatening to push the e-pawn, and after pushing the e-pawn, there is no defense, so using the rook as a blockade. I mean, this is seriously brutal. And Benko played king to g8. Well, rook to f6. Oh, what a move, what a move. If bishop takes rook, then we push the pawn this time and threatening checkmate, and you can't push the pawn because black's own bishop is blocking the f-pawn. And there is no defense actually. I mean, black can play some ridiculous moves like blocking with the knight. We can capture with the bishop, and it is only going to prolong the checkmate. So let's say bishop takes on e5, and then queen takes on h7, knockout, lights out. So rook to f6, and what else black can try? If capturing the knight, then we have again e5. And if h6, then rook takes. If king to g8, check and checkmate. And after rook takes, if bishop takes, then check and then checkmate again. There is no defense. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So rook to f6, king to g8. Doesn't change the result, isn't it? Because Bobby Fischer pushed the pawn, and Mr. Benko is in big trouble at move 20. And threatening checkmate. So h6, knight back, and Benko resigned. And after resigning, he told his adventure before the chess game at night, which was his, in my opinion, excuse. And it's just, I mean, it's just an excuse. Of course, he would never defeated Fischer. Actually, not in this tournament. Fischer was at the height of his powers, or he was getting there. Some say Fischer was even better in late 1960s, early 1970s. He was basically invincible. I mean, we have never seen something like that before or since. Fischer was seriously up there. One of the greatest chess players of all times, of course. So let me show you the possible continuation. If capturing the rook, then we have queen takes on h6 and you can't defend the checkmate threat, so there is no defense. Checkmate. And if knight to b5, then queen to f5 and there is no defense again. Checkmate. And if black plays something like queen to e7, so after knight to e2, queen to e7, we can double and then we can capture the knight. And this is also losing, winning very easily. So again, if bishop takes, we can place the queen on f5, I believe. And then there is no defense again. Okay, so this was the game. Maybe you have never seen this chess game, or maybe you did because it was a very famous chess game. And this is how Bobby Fischer defeated Paul Benko. Actually, this is the final move, knight to e2. And actually, if you haven't seen this chess game before, did you see rook to f6? Actually, ooh, what a move. Oh, I mean, it hurts. Basically, it hurts. For Benko, of course. Not for us, or not for Bobby Fischer. So, okay, the game ended very quickly, actually, at move 21. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time with more interactive chess games. Stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.